podcast brought to you by the Launchpad Media. Go to www.thelaunchpadmedia.com for all of your podcasting needs. There's a lot of amazing podcasts on there, like The Blast Off with Johnny Rocket, and I can never remember her name. Someone help me with her name.
Raylene Lightheart.
Thank you. I always remember the Lightheart, but the first name escapes me because I'm old and I've never actually met her. So I'm very sorry. Also, there's some awesome podcasts by Alex Merced on there. And if you're bored, I guess you can check us out too. We are also available on YouTube. Just put in the search bar, Drunken Disorderly. You'll find our logo. We're there. If you're watching this on YouTube, we live stream every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Central Time on Facebook.com/D&D Liberty. We're also available on Minds.com, Parler. That we actually got a subscriber on Parler the other day. That was kind of cool. What else? Anchor. So our audio version goes to Anchor, and then Anchor kicks it out everywhere else. So if you want us on Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Apple, I think Apple's our best platform actually. We got.
Thanks, Apple listeners.
Yeah, we got like 20 hits alone off of Apple on the Josh Smith episode. So that was cool. Just out of nowhere. So it wasn't even a scheduled episode. Just Josh popping in and me cutting that out of a bullshit thing that we were doing. I posted that up like a 20-minute episode on Anchor. And it's like, oh, there's our highest rated show ever. All the hard work we do week in and week out, and Josh just popping in to talk shit right before he announces for chair is somehow the episode that everyone sees. Thanks. Thank you, Josh.
Yeah, thanks. We'll take it.
Hell, dude.
So check us out wherever you can find us. Leave us some reviews. Share us with your friends. Your cool friends, though. We don't want any losers hanging out with us. Sure. Come on now. So I got to tell this story before we get into this. I spent my evening today. I got off at 4:30, got home at 5. And then I went all man mode with a machete out in my backyard because we've had some trees overgrowing the fence getting near our power pole. And we got to run some new line for the internet. So I went out there with my machete and I cut those motherfuckers down like a goddamn animal with a machete. Get on my level. Dre, what the fuck's up?
Hey. So, hey everybody. I had such a fun weekend. So we did Freedom Friday, as many of you may know, for a fundraiser for our state party, Nebraska LP. And we booked 3 comedians and Caleb to do some stand-up. It was Caleb's first time out, and to his fucking credit, man, I laughed the whole time. I'm sorry. I like offensive jokes. If your panties are twisted easily, don't go to comedy fucking clubs. Seriously. Don't listen to comedy. Whatever. So Caleb told a lot of old people jokes. He has a lot of half fake, half real combination for the old folks, you know, for being boomers and ruining the economy and whatnot. So apparently there were some people shaking their heads in the back, and one lady left a comment. At least it was on her own Facebook page, on her own post. She had checked in, and like, short night for us. The first comedian was so offensive. We had to leave. So his set was only 8 minutes, lady. How long did you stay? 2?
Well, and seriously, I've been hearing like really, really good things about his set from a lot of people. So, I mean, so he didn't make one person happy. Like, I can live with that. Caleb's still funny as shit.
You know, and the other comedians, the seasoned comedians that were there, were giving him props and telling him, listen, you did amazing.
Well, at least we know that lady won't be subscribing to our show. Because if Caleb offended her, she would hate life here.
Oh, man, you should really have to buckle up, honey, for this show. Because, yeah.
She needs some help. She needs like a Zanny or something.
So it's whatever. I thought he did great, and I hope he does it again. And tonight, Scott is doing a 4-minute set, so we wish him luck, and I wish I was there. But
good luck, Scott. We love you.
We love you. You're going to be amazing. So, as we do, me and John got pretty wasted at Freedom Friday. Weird, right? So I ended up.
So did I, by the way. It was weird.
I know. I was so proud of you. I did Cyndi Lauper, and I did not know John was recording it. In the back, they gave me one of those guitars from Guitar Hero. Yeah, well, so yeah, we did just want to have fun. It was fun. I was all decked out in red, white, and blue. I had a cat sticker tattoo on my face and red, white, and blue cat ears. And yeah, on the way home, we took an Uber because, like I said, we got a little wasted. As we pull in, I'm like, "Hey, John, let me see your ring, the wedding ring I just bought him the day before." And we must hit a bump or something, and the fucking ring drops. No idea where this thing went. We're loaded. So we spend a good 15 minutes ripping this poor guy's car apart, asking if we can go get tools to take seats out. Like, is this cool, dude? We went in and got flashlights, whatever. So we're about ready to let the guy go and give him our numbers and just be like, fuck, it's lost. I'm like, let me look one more time. There's one more time. So I bend down and look, right fucking there. In the little foot where the seat is connected to the car. So yeah, at least.
Your Uber driver was cool about it though?
Yes, he was super patient with us. I mean, we weren't super wasted. We weren't sloppy. So, we could hold a conversation and be reasonable. So he was super cool about it. And we tipped him fat and everything. So it only took an extra 10, 15 minutes of his time. So anyway, let's get to the show, you guys. Tonight we have Jack Lloyd, LP activist and comic book superhero. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Very good. Very happy to have you on the show. I was looking at your page today and oh my God, love your comic book. I didn't get to read any of it, but I also love your outfit. Zach, you can flash a picture of that. That's right here soon.
I can't, not without kicking someone out.
Oh.
I'm limited by the technology of my time. I'm sorry.
I thought we were doing this. We had this new fucking sweet ass version where you can share screen.
When we have 3 people, I can do that. When we have 4, I can't.
Okay, whatever. Anyway.
We'll drop a link.
Yeah. Drop links because it's super cool. I love it. So did you, I take it you have to have that totally specially made at some place?
Yes, the very special Chinese children made it, I'm sure. But basically, yeah, it was custom made, so it was custom designed by an artist, and then it was actually made in China, custom fit to my dimensions. So that was just a fun super suit wanted to make for the character, and it's been offered too on some of the past campaigns, and at least one other person I know has gotten it. So there's someone else out there who's wearing that super suit somewhere. So.
Neat. That's very cool. We're cosplaying you. How cool is that?
I mean, that's super awesome. I mean, you don't have to cosplay me. There's tons of other, characters too. I mean, whether you want to do a, Volumer or, it's just kind of like a lemur, humanoid kind of thing, or a girl, whatever floats your boat.
My screensaver on my desktop computer is my favorite ever drawing a kind of image of Voluntaria from the comic book series. She has been my screensaver for 3 years now.
That's incredible. I mean, I feel really humbled that you have something like that. That's really cool to hear.
She's my favorite.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of cool characters. At this point, I've had enough time to develop some and have more drawings and things like that made. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to see how much it's grown. Just even around the world too. It's funny story. There's a very famous, you could say, a talk show personality person in Argentina who's kind of libertarian. And he cosplays, and there was a woman who did his cosplay for their big comic convention, and she referenced the Voluntaryist comic series to make his thing. And he's got a pretty big following in Argentina. I mean, obviously, I don't know what's going on over there, but of course the people over there do, because he's a big TV talking head, like something like Andrew Napolitano or something like that over here, like on Fox and Friends or something. So it's getting out there.
That's awesome. How long have you been doing the comic book series?
Now,
for the show about you had Kickstart, it sounds like you're pretty deep in it now.
Yeah, it's been about 7 years now. This last campaign on Indiegogo was the 9th campaign. So I've had 9, fundraisers, promotions, comic book fundraisers, you could say, and so it's been pretty wild ride. Now it's kind of more, steady and serious. There was some prototyping in the beginning and some kinks to work out. But now, it's kind of smooth sailing from here in terms of production. So.
Well,
Because when
congratulations
I
on
found
all the
you,
success with that.
Thank you.
Very
when
well.
I first discovered you, you guys were pretty much brand new on Kickstarter. And I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest fucking thing ever. This is so cool. Like somebody gets it. Somebody gets that the movement is only truly going to be successful once we start to affect culture, right? And it was just crazy cool to see that and see the investment and the buy-in that you were really making the case for. It was really cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I was surprised too because it's a niche of a niche. It's already hard to like get libertarians to voluntarists or anything to do anything coordinatedly. So that's already its own niche and difficulty. And then it's like on top of that, doing comics, superhero genre. It's like taking water out of a rock. So it was kind of nerve-wracking, wondering what would happen, but I got enough support and then enough to just keep going. And even though there was some struggles too, especially in the second campaign, things didn't go as hoped. I just, was so passionate about it because it's such a passion project of mine that I was like, I don't care. I'm going to keep working and figure out ways to make it work and do better. And so I kept growing until eventually we got, 100% funded, and then had multiple successes after that. So
where did the original idea come from? Like, walk us through that. Are you like sitting around drinking with friends? Are you, having a psychedelic experience? Where did this start?
Yeah, if only it was those, that would have been really interesting.
Erin's like, I come up with ideas typically.
Right?
And I mean, it wasn't as exciting as that, I guess, but it was interesting. First, I was playing with the idea of just mixing my fandom of nerddom and like cosplay and comics with Liberty, and it started with like doing some like cosplays where I like dressed up in characters but like held signs in real life, just saying taxation and steps and other stuff in like 2012, and that like led to this inspiration of, okay, so I was playing around with cosplay a bit, but like what could I do if I really wanted to make something happen? And I was thinking about a film at first, and I was like, the budget for that's just too much if you want to do a decent production. So I eventually was like, okay, well, what can I reasonably do? And that led me to doing comics and thinking about that, because like, okay, that's actually within budget, and it's not hard to do that and be competitive with your mainstream kind of indie comic thing. It's not that expensive to do it and do it well competitively. And so while I was studying for the bar exam, I was just bored, and I was like, okay, maybe I can start to put this together. So I started to like write it and wrote the script, and then like just went from there while I was just killing some time.
Between studying torts.
What's that?
I said between studying torts, and let's get a little dry. Let me draw some comics.
Yes, yeah. Between studying and like reviewing for the bar exam and that, I was just like, I got some time to kill. I'll write a script for a story and let's go with it. Let's see what happens. So, and then I went from there. I started with physical things, just making funny videos and in-person activism stuff, to like, okay, let's make the comic. And that was like, it's perfect timing because that's when Indiegogo, Kickstarter, those kinds of things were really starting to just get going. And I, had some inspiration from when Jeffrey Tucker did his Liberty.me project, because that was fairly financially successful, although the platform sucked. But but it was something that was like, okay, people are actually willing to support and do something, and work together. So like, okay, let's go with it, and it kind of floated from there and just kept going. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey guys, don't forget, if you're watching us on a watch party, we can't see your comments. Go post those comments on the main Facebook page, Drunken Disorderly Liberty. So Raptor will see them rolling in.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
So you're taking a much more cultural approach to activism with doing comics, in my opinion. Like that's, you affect culture, and that's how you affect change.
Definitely is a big part of what I do, whether it's from the comic to Anarchy Ball to producing other, people like, philosopher, whoever. It's, I try to influence culture.
Why does everyone else suck at that? Like libertarians are so bad at even understanding that needs to be a thing.
Well, I can tell you, like, if you really want, I'll give you the real reasons and some depths on that. If you want to go deep, I can give you a real deep. You want a deep?
Go balls deep,
Let's
man. Do it.
I'll balls deep if you want. All right. So first and foremost, most of the Liberty organizations out there operate in a 501c3 or 501c4. They're not for profits or fundraising organizations, right? So within that context, they're very limited, right? They're the way that not-for-profits run and the way you have to do things to be legally safe is difficult. And so many of these organizations that are kind of the front runners that you often see with liberty content and stuff, they're not very adventurous, right? There's a lot of a lot of red tape and bureaucracy with many of these organizations. It doesn't matter what it is. It's just as long as it's a formal organization, they face a lot of pressure. And very often, there's people within there who are, blacklisting or pushing back on people who are taking creative leaps. So within the mainstream, more professional liberty sphere, it's that type of risk taking is just not there. There's not a lot of support for that. Now, outside of that, the kind of people who would have an insight into what is necessary to do creative stuff, it takes a bit of experience in that realm and kind of a good culture sense. And a lot of people who tend to be more politically active or challenging and stuff like that may not always be creatively inclined, because they're more focused on like politics or ideas in that realm, or economics and other stuff. They're not necessarily the people who are first and foremost, artists who are like creating things, or filmmakers and things like that. So, there's definitely not as many people who are doing that. And then some of the people who are more creatively inclined often flake. And that's because they're not very intellectual in terms of like, thinking logically, they're more feelings based. And so even some of the creative people tend to, flake out over time. So it's really hard to get those things to meld perfectly. But that said, there are definitely tons of talented, principled liberty people out there who themselves are artists in some fashion. So there are, and I pretty much know them all. Like, not whether it's personally or, I know who they are, I can list it off, I can tell you who they are. But outside of that, it's not easy for people to put that into action. I think that's just a part of like any type of successful business. It's long-term thinking and thinking about how to craft things for that. A lot of people just don't have what it takes to last. They don't have the work ethic to keep going with something and making it better and better over years, which is what it takes off. And a lot of people, they don't see it. They don't see the hard work that goes into it. And they think, oh, I just have an idea. And everybody should either do it, or they're just like, they get fizzled out because they just can't put in the energy and the time resources for themselves. So I'd say that kind of encapsulates it quite a bit. Sorry if that was too much.
No, that's great. So I want to go back to something you were saying about a lot of libertarian organizations are like 501c3s. And so we were talking about doing like an LLC, and we've kind of decided against that. We're just going to do like a DBA for this crazy shit we're doing here. Do you think that going the nonprofit route ends up like to me, I've always thought it kind of is the opposite of libertarianism in a sense, because without profit as a motivator, how do you get excellence? Because that's like, does that make, like, am I making sense by that? Because that's always kind of the argument we make, is that people will give you the best effort for money. Like, that's how the world works.
Right. So to me, like, not-for-profit doesn't mean that you're not against profit. There is profit in not-for-profit in terms of getting, whether it's fundraising or donations or even selling, those some things, depending on the code, is taxed. But, I don't think that really that's the core issue of why the not-for-profit model may be difficult. I think it's more about the legal issues about what qualifies as a not-for-profit in terms of the specific activities you're able to engage in, and the dangerous, waters you get into if there's certain things you do or say or sell that violate those, specific IRS tests for a 501c3. To me, it's, I just find it to be just not the best model for that. Now, there are organizations that are good, of course, that are 501c3, and mostly they're just sticking to educational things. For educational not-for-profits, they have to be engaged in actually educating people, like having classes typically of some kind, even if it's just for like the summer, like Mises does. But I mean, to me, most 501c3s, a lot of people think, oh, you just started and like people give you money. It's like most 501c3s are started by someone who has money to begin with, right? Most 501c3s are because someone had a lot of money, or someone knew someone with a lot of money that they wanted to give to that end. and that's how they begin, and then eventually get donations down the road. So, if you don't have a lot of money to begin with, or you don't have a buddy who's like, yeah, I got $1 million to, throw at something, your 501c3 route probably is not the best route even there as it stands. It's going to be a rough time just, getting that upward mobility need to keep funds rolling in. So I think that, just doing a business is not a bad idea. I don't think that's a bad thing to do a DBA or LLC or whatever else you want to do. Because you're less hamstrung when it comes to what you engage in. Yeah, I mean, you don't get the tax exemption status, but you won't have to worry about, all the legal issues that can arise, based on, having that status and having those rules. So, yeah.
So kind of jumping back, what advice would you give to those libertarians, the ones that you're talking about, the ones that are incredibly creative and do have some artistic talent or vision, mm-hmm. and are also educated and truly understand the principle and the philosophy? What advice would you give them into kind of beginning to mesh those two worlds?
Yeah, so I would just say that the first thing is you don't need to ask permission to create and be successful, because I think that's a big problem that, even I've had, and I think other people who are in the creative space have, is that you're so used to, whether it's because of, public or compulsory school, or because of, how the government presents things, you're so used to thinking like, I have to ask someone's permission. I need to get approval from other people before I can start this. And it's just not true. It's, if you have a dream, it's up to you to build it. And of course, people who enjoy what you're doing are going to jump along because they see the great things you're doing. And I think now more than ever, there's just no excuse if you wish to do that, because there's so many platforms now that allow you to display your talents and to get people to be able to support you, whether it's like Bitbacker or subscribe to our Patreon or whatever else platform you have, or if it's one time like Indiegogo, Kickstarter. It's just so easy more than ever that if you truly are creative, to build a fan base and build a recurring means to get support, to either make your hobby more successful, be able just to fund it, or to even turn into a full-time thing, beyond a hobby. So to me, I just say, if you're that serious about that and you really have that vision, don't waste time. Just start building it, because it's going to take a long time to build it. Just like any type of meaningful infrastructure, something that you want to create, it takes effort, and you have to have some framework that you can keep stewarding toward. If you don't at least create a framework, a branding, website identity, something to start with, you're never going to really get anywhere. You need to at least take those steps that you can constantly steward toward as you have time, because it's going to just be a day-by-day thing. As long as you're moving toward that a little bit every day or week or whatever, as long as you keep going to it, eventually you'll see the fruits. You know what I mean? A lot of people just think, oh, it's just overnight success. It's like, I talk to anybody who has, whatever kind of status you want to say within liberty circles, artistic or otherwise. Like it just didn't happen overnight. It took years of hard work and stewarding toward that to create it. So I just would say, if you're serious, creative, don't waste any time. Just start to build those frameworks so that someone has a place to come see you and support your work.
That's great advice. We're always talking about how there is, that's a good point. Sorry, I'm reading Nathan Davis's comment here. I think people are more reward driven than profit driven. Profit is a reward, and it is an excellent motivator, but it is the desire to contribute to a cause you believe in. It just takes finding the right people to drive the cause forward. Even if there's no money in it, which, that is true too. We've all done a lot of work pro bono for the LP. Oh. I don't know. I think the percentage of people that are getting paid for their activism in the LP is very, very, very small. And I think that the dollar amounts are considerably less than anybody working for an RD after their name. So kudos to anybody in our movement that is putting forth their time and effort and talent towards furthering this movement in any way, But I absolutely do think that profit is also a great motivator. Sorry. And, there was, that foundation we were involved with for a little while. There was a lot of talk about, should we be for profit? Should we, excuse me, register as 501c? And we went back and forth on that. And there was good reason to, I think. I think that the thing that our initial mission with that, we should have registered as an LLC. It should not have been a not-for-profit. Absolutely. I don't know what's going on over there now, but when you're going in that sort of a direction, when you're putting on events and you're trying to create, you know, kind of a social network, that's a for-profit thing, I think. So I don't know. I think anything that keeps you out of the microscope of the Fed and Uncle Sam is a good thing. And I think that we should take any route that keeps us out of that.
I mean, I see some benefits to not-for-profit that I can't believe I'm going to say this on air because libertarians are going to show up looking for me with pitchforks and fucking torches. And what the fuck else is new, right? So here's the thing. One of the benefits is that there's some federal money and you can steal back some stolen money. And fuck, man, I support anything you can do to take back some of your money from the fucking government. I just do.
Start a debate about giving Sarwark a salary? Huh.
No, like, can we skip that shit? Like, I sit on the LNC and I've had to deal with this shit all day. So can we pass tonight?
Right, yeah.
Can we tap
right.
out on that shit, please?
Okay, sorry.
But let's ask the nuclear energy question because we have to. It's a fucking requirement.
Okay, here we go. Jack, how do you feel about nuclear energy?
Well, I mean, I personally not like it really close to me, I guess. But in terms of the actual reactor itself, maybe. But no, actually, I really like nuclear energy as compared to most other forms of energy in terms of stability, efficiency, especially relative to other kinds of energy. You know, it's funny because it's like a lot of people, they get really nervous about, you know, nuclear energy because they think about different types of reactor issues and, you know, whatever you want to say, Fukushima or Chernobyl or something like that. But in the practical reality of how it works and how it's handled, it's so ridiculously more safe in terms of, you know, human lives and risk than most other, you know, forms of energy. It pretty much, you know, it has a very high efficiency ratio for, you know, what it does. The main obstacles, of course, now is just, you know, federal government wants to put 20 years worth of regulations before you can start one. That's the real cost. But even countries that people normally associate being like, oh, super crazy, lefty, progressive, like, you know, France, they run mostly on nuclear, but nobody bats an eye about that. You know, being well over 90% powered by nuclear energy. So, you know, it's one of those things where if you take away, you know, some of the scare tactics about it and just give an honest look at it compared, again, always compared to what, because that's, you know, anything that's subjectively valued should be compared to what else is out there. I think most reasonable people would look at it and say that, you know, that's actually a pretty relatively safe, clean, and reliable, you know, stable form of energy compared to most common other forms that could be used to generate electricity. So, you
know, it's always astonished me that when you talk to the anti-nuclear energy crowd, that's one of the first things they bring up, right? Is damage, death, and destruction from potential fallout. But when you pull up stats and say, here are how many coal miners die every year globally versus how many people die from a reactor problem every year globally, man, the cognitive dissonance just grows, man. That wall gets really thick and don't fucking show me that. I don't want to hear that.
Right.
I mean, you're talking about a huge statistical difference, but we still embrace carbon fuels. We do. And it's ridiculous.
Right. And the same people will complain and say, oh, there's too much CO2 in the air, which is its own separate thing. But it's like, okay, so the nuclear, right? That should be a logical next step. That's a very serious, you know, amplifying greenhouse gas. Shouldn't nuclear then be the solution, right? Because that doesn't produce what you're concerned about. And then they're like, no, you know, it's all circular because they're not really about human prosperity. They're not really about human productivity and human flourishing. I think as what's his face says that Epstein, he talks about human flourishing. They're not focused really on human flourishing. They want most people to just die and suffer, except for them, right? You know, they get to have their big corporate jets, they get to have their nice cars and their expenditures, but you know, everybody else has to live in poverty. So yeah.
Well, yeah, taxing us to death to provide for the Green New Deal made more sense than switching to nuclear energy. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
I'm sorry. I cannot not laugh when someone talks about the Green New Deal. All right. All I know is that idiot in her glasses and cow farts.
What is this? Let's see.
I genuinely believe one of the biggest steps we can take towards a more free society is changing the paradigm around energy. We need to generate more at home, buy less from major producers. It isn't difficult to generate most of your own energy. Sorry, it cuts off in a weird way. Right at your house. The grid is a crutch and a binding post for government to keep a finger in the pie. So the problem with that, and you're right, the problem is that they won't let you come off the grid in a lot of places.
They really don't like it.
Right, but I mean,
I could do it on my land in Tennessee because there's not really a grid, but good luck anywhere else.
Right, but I think part of what Nathan's saying is maybe we're picking the wrong battles, right? Libertarians dig in on everything else. Come and take them from me. We'll protest. We'll line up 6 deep on everything else, but not energy.
Right.
I think what Nathan's saying is this is a huge missed opportunity. Nathan, if I'm wrong, hit me up and let me know how wrong I am. Like, seriously, I get off on that shit. But I don't think I can.
Here we go.
It's off on the weirdest shit. So Eric Beasley says we should mandate human-sized hamster wheels in every house. I was just about to say a second ago, if you have cats or any other kind of animal, they make cat wheels, and those guys love to get on that thing and make it spin. I'm sure you could hook something up to, harness some of that energy.
Jimmy makes a good point, though. Pony energy is better than nuclear energy.
Oh, let's get honest. Jimmy and Eric are both talking about ponies and hamster wheels for really different reasons than everybody thinks they are.
Oh, boy.
We get that those are your kinks, guys, but come on.
Aren't you glad you came on, Jack?
I'm very glad.
I know y'all. I know you.
So you're one of the few guests that I can have on that might even be able to talk about this kind of stuff. Can you explain, especially to these two, why Khans of Tarkir was the best set in Magic?
Oh, for fuck's sake.
This again. Come here, kitten.
I'm not a Magic guy, though I do, I'm familiar basically with the game. And actually, one of my good friends was a tournament judge. So I got to learn what the cards are made of and how they actually work to test whether it's a real card or not and stuff like that. It was interesting, but
so that's not your nerddom right there?
No, I wasn't a much of a Magic guy. In those realms, I played like Star Wars role-playing games, 2nd edition, 60, Pokemon, those kinds of things. A little bit different, but yeah, I obviously within my nerd friends, they played Magic and I saw their cards and stuff. And, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'll try not to hold that against you.
Look,
it's all good. You can hold whatever you want against me as long as it's consensual. It's all good.
There you go. You guys are so much younger than us. Dre and I played different kinds of role-playing games. Any role-playing games that are this kind of role-playing games for sure. But like I'm from the Dungeons and Dragons and Quirks kind of era. So unsophisticated, really easy, crazy nerddom fun.
Dude, 3.5 D&D 3.5 is the greatest game ever made. Like 5th edition is good, but 3.5 is fucking where it's at.
I'm sorry, you guys. She thinks I'm her mommy.
Eric is saying I can see Trace pussy.
The Kardashian.
Tell your friends you saw Dre's pussy. Maybe it'll help our subscribers. Subscribe to the show. We just showed you pussy. What else do you want?
Right? And I'm naked.
Yeah, she's been naked all night too. So
you know what? Next week I am gonna do it naked. Fuck it.
You won't. No balls.
Sorry, Larry.
Oh yeah, next week when we have that super serious Larry Sharp episode.
Oh my God. All right,
probably not the best episode. Stripping.
All right, not Larry's show, but the next one that we do when it's not somebody super serious, naked.
So when we have Josh Smith on in August, you're going to be naked and Erin's going to be wearing a bra. Is that what we're saying? So do I need to do like a grass skirt and a coconut bra just to fit in?
Oh, I dare you. Yep.
That's how I cosplay. So, to go way back in this conversation, what got you into cosplaying? Because that's one of my favorite things, but I'm too fat to do it because I can't pull anyone off. Don't give me that look. It is different for a guy, Erin. So, what got you into cosplay?
You can cosplay. I mean, for me, I just always had it as a kid. But if you want to get really interesting into my history, my dad was a stripper, and so that's a big fact. Oh, so yeah, I bet you weren't expecting that. He also was a teacher by day. So.
Oh, I like this story.
So, I got great stories if you want to go with there. So my dad was a stripper by night, and he was a teacher by day. My mom, she was, LPN, so she did nursing stuff, but she also was a model and actress, and she was like Mrs. New York for Miss USA, and did a bunch of different things in TV and this or that. Still is on TV on HSN and stuff. So they were big into entertainment, as you could garner from that. And one of the things they also did with their entertainment is they were with a dance troupe, and this is very popular in the 80s, having different types of parties or wedding parties or bar bat mitzvahs and stuff like that, where you'd have entertainment groups come in and have like a $50,000 or $100,000 big event, with catering and dancers and entertainers and crazy stuff. They did that kind of stuff, and they'd fly around the country, even go to like Hawaii, Vegas, and things like that, and do shows where they like led, dance groups, or they did, magic and stuff like that. In fact, my mom also worked with a magician at one point as well, like being, the female who gets cut in half and all that stuff. So with that came costumes, of course. So there were all kinds of interesting costumes and things my parents wore that I either saw or saw in pictures. My dad did Elvis impressions and stuff like that. He did like comedy bits. He even opened up for Frank Sinatra. And all kinds of wild stuff. So growing up, dress up was like kind of the norm when it wasn't a norm. So naturally that led into me just, of course, liking cosplay stuff as well, and dress up for like the Star Wars movies, Darth Vader and Fantastic Four and stuff, or 2000s, early 2000s, stuff like that as a teen, and then later on just carried on through with the big cosplay rush. So
then, did you do Rocky Horror in high school?
No, I didn't do that because, for most of my high school years, I went to like very conservative Christian schools. So, they didn't have that. But I have seen a live Rocky Horror picture, where the interactive thing. I've been to one of those where they do, the audience does the back and forth for Rocky Horror. I've seen that and done that.
I mean, we talked, what was it, last week or the week before, recently, about how we all kind of thought Rocky Horror was overrated and the real deal was Little Shop of Horrors. So how did you think about that?
That was the last episode with Kim Ruff.
Now you're talking about things that I definitely know about. So another interesting fact that my older sister, Little Shop of Horrors holds like a special place for me as well, because my older sister, she's very big into theater. Then studied theater and acting. Eventually became a celebrity A-list makeup artist. Does like London Fashion Week, all that good stuff. So when she was in high school and I was just a wee little kid, they actually had a Little Shop of Horrors play, and their Little Shop of Horrors play was so good. They even had the plant where the guy who gets eaten goes into the plant on stage. So as a kid, I got to see this, and it's like really cool. So I don't know. I always have a special affinity for that because I didn't watch Rocky Horror as a kid. I mean, that would probably be scarring. But I mean, even Little Shop of Horrors could be a little scarring for a kid. but I really enjoyed that, and it always held a special place because my big sister played one of the girls in the show. That was a lot of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Jack, this question's for you. Siobhan Lynch says, Jack, can I create a voluntarist as a City of Heroes character?
Oh, yeah. I mean, sure. Why not? Go for it.
So, I mean, how do you feel about fan fiction, about fans recreating your characters, about fans expanding on the storyline, or all of that?
Oh, I'm for it. I don't subscribe to IP. As a concept, I'm not into intellectual property. So as far as I'm concerned, voluntarist, I hold just one rule, which is that I don't care what anybody does with it, so long as they use it in reciprocity. In other words, they don't use IP that is government violence against others. As long as you don't yourself go and use the violence of the state against others, I'm all good. But if you use the violence of the state, you can't stop and say, well, I shouldn't be used it against. No, if you're going to go after other people using the government, I should be able to go after you if you're going to harm other people. So that's just it. It's basically, I don't care. I'm not for IP, but if you're going to go and attack others with the force of the state, you shouldn't be exempt and claim that you get to not also be attacked when you violate, the IP of others, when you want to use the force of the state to go after other people. I mean, to me, that's just hypocritical. So.
Oh, completely. And I would totally put the kibosh on that too if I were you. I'd be like, yeah, nope. I'm not okay with this. You can go fuck yourself if you're going to use the state to use violence against someone else for something that you stole to begin with, you asshole.
Justin is asking, you don't have a problem with the forthcoming voluntarist porn?
If someone wants to rule 34 voluntarist, I mean, by all means, make it happen. I'm all about that. I might have to check it out. I don't know if it's worth checking out, but maybe I'd check it out. But yeah,
I think I'll definitely check that out. I want to see how that story goes. What is the storyline leading into this porn? Somebody knocks on the door. Hey, can I interest you in some free market capitalism?
Oh my goodness.
How badass is it going to be now if we start seeing cam girls wearing voluntarist costumes during their shows?
I mean, I'm all about that. If someone wants to, by all means, and go for it. I don't care.
That would be badass. I would watch that. I mean, I'd probably watch it anyway, but I really would watch it.
Oh, that's too funny. Yeah, I mean, there may be already, for all I know, with how the internet goes these days. It's, you know what I mean? Right. As soon as something comes out, someone's making a porn somewhere about it,
Oh, I'm Google searching this tonight, right? You guys shit.
Yeah, you have a lot of research to do, I know.
Oh my God.
If I find it, I'll DM you.
That would be, I mean, might as well see what it's all about, right?
Yeah, see what your fans are up to, taking your characters to the next level.
I really take it to the next level. I'd be like, okay, I didn't know that was possible, but I guess.
Oh my God, Jimmy Mahoney. Voluntaryist condoms protect your pee-pee from the FBI seeing your people. All right.
Oh my God, Jack, these libertarians that watch our show, there's going to be voluntarist condoms, voluntarist rolling papers. This shit is going to happen.
I mean, that's exactly what I'm about is taking all liberty, putting in every cultural thing you can imagine. If there's a voluntarist butt plug, so be it, whatever. I mean,
Please,
oh my God, what does it look like?
Make it be black and yellow.
Right, exactly. It's got like black inside and then a yellow, like shiny, sparkly tip, like a yellow diamond or something. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, that hurt.
Okay, so I did look. I am not finding any Rule 34 on your comic. Someone get on that right now.
Do it.
I'm glad that it's your search history that took care of that issue. So
dude, my search history is already so fucked that the FBI is going to look at that and be like, well, someone's taking it off tonight.
Dude, I think the NSA leaves us alone because we freaked them out.
They saw our search histories. They'll move on to the next guy.
That sounds like a good joke. Like, yeah, your search history is so dirty, even the NSA wouldn't take it.
That's probably
I like to mentally scar the people who are tasked with keeping an eye on me.
Yeah, your FBI guardian angel. You just make sure to make it extra interesting for them.
So, Jack, Siobhan Lynch says you guys made the perfect choice for a guest. He gives as good as he gets.
Oh,
thank you.
Is that like you're a pitcher and a catcher? Is that where we're going with this?
Oh, damn.
So many double entendres. Keep up with it.
Life's too much fun without, life would be no fun without them, right?
I mean, yeah.
That's much fun for sure.
Yeah, I'm very glad that at least some people are not succumbing to the PC culture because I hate that. So I really do.
I mean, if they do, they don't watch our show.
True.
So we like to say we're the most fun libertarian podcast out there. Like, we're not the biggest, and you don't go to us to get those hard hitting interviews like Tom Woods or whatever other boring person you're listening to. This is where you come to take a load off, have a drink, fantasize that if Dre lifted up anymore, she might not be actually wearing a top, and just have a good time for an hour.
I like how you frame that. You're like, it may not be the biggest, but it does get the job done, and it will get your load off, as you said. So, yeah.
It's the motion of the ocean. Come on.
Yeah. Not the size of the vessel, man.
My goodness.
Oh my God, I love you guys.
God, like I can hear the teenage bullshit lines rolling through my mind right now. It happens to all guys, right?
Oh no!
So can we talk about the accidental post I made because it went in the wrong chat? So look.
That was funny.
So we have two, like, kind of not premium. Well, one of them is a premium chat. It's where our subscribers go, and then the other one is it's not a premium chat. You just have to know one of us and be cool, and we'll add you. And it's like the BDSM chat that we have on, or it's not a chat, it's a group, so we can share all of our nasty memes in there. And so I'm sitting there like, look, to prove it. You can't read any of this, and that's fine. Those are boner pills. I want to try. I want to see what the fuck happens. Look, I did that once when I was like 22, and it was a great night. Great night. So I'm like, Elfie, we need to have a night where, like, we're just going to not plan anything else. See what the fuck happens. It'll be fun. So I posted in what I thought was the kinky group, but ended up being our subscriber group. Like, all right, guys, I got some boner pills. I'll let you know how it turns out.
I mean, we're lucky because I think
that was an accident, right? An accident.
All of our subscribers are cool with it. Like, they know. They subscribe.
Oh, Eric's really offended that he's not in the kinky group.
Adam.
Oh, Eric, I am so sorry.
That's on Erin, dude. Get mad at her.
And Jimmy and Siobhan, I'm sorry. I will fix that. Fuck, I don't want to talk with you, Eric.
See, and you're the person that we put in charge of that group because you know all the weird people.
Oh. Okay, hang on. I'm fixing this. I'm so sorry.
So,
I've been so much
hopefully by next week's show, when we have Larry on, I'll make sure to stop for a minute and talk about it. I'm sure he'll enjoy that conversation.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
So you were talking earlier about kind of the PC culture and everything.
Yeah.
And you being in comics, that's definitely a huge thing that's happening in the comics is like comics is now fighting its own version of Gamergate. Have you followed that very much? And do you think I'm wrong in saying that? What are your thoughts on it?
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, yeah, there was a comics geek kind of thing too. I think that, with comics, they were doing the same thing, and a number of the mainline publishers would, just as simple, just swap sex, race, whatever, religion, or whatever, and not meaningfully improve any stories or do anything. And some people got frustrated with that for sure. I didn't personally, care one way there. It's like I just don't care. I'm doing my own thing. But I think it helped to continue to foster a new level of creative works, and I think I've seen the growth of this incredibly, especially on platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Patreon, things like that, because the mainline publishers, you're not really offering anything that's like engaging or philosophically exciting or just character development that's just really good. Lots of people are just turning to the alternative comic world. Lots of people are going on these platforms just like, I'm just tired of this. They want to see something more interesting, and it's great because now all these indie creators have no barriers to entry. They're able to just pull their stuff up, put it right there, have them see their pitch, have them see some past work. And now all people of all kinds, whether they're in the PC realm or not, like, are just getting tons of support. And you should really check it out sometime if you haven't. Just click on the Explore just to like get a sense of it. And I think one notable example to me is there was this one guy who was just he had a YouTube channel. He wasn't really like a big comic maker or anything, but he critiqued the SJWPC culture, and he kind of rode that a bit, and then started a Kickstarter, Indiegogo campaign to do kind of this like nostalgic G.I. Joe story, kind of action packed comic thing. And
I think I've heard about this one. It was a big deal. Yes,
because he was just like, yeah, let's see what happens. He ended up raising it. It's had continuous funding, so it still can be bought through. But I think well over $400,000 is what he raised. I think he raised well over $200,000 in just the time period, and then $400,000 after, of people who were just tired of the crap, and they're like, yeah, I want to support someone who's actually going to write a story and not just swap out the color or sex or whatever. They're like, yeah, I want something interesting. And this guy landed it, and several other people did the same thing. And I don't really think that I followed that, because I didn't start my comic for that purpose. I didn't follow that trend, but I definitely think that I'm probably a recipient of that benefit, because I'm a part of that genre of alternative comic books and alternative media that is just saying, yeah, we're not just going to give you blasé stories. I'm actually here. I'm going to put in your face interesting characters and real development and stuff that makes you think about the nature of existence and what it means to be truly free. And I think you see that push there, and I think you see that push with anime. I think lots of people have started watching anime for that very reason, because the Japanese cinema, it's not just Japan, but anime, talk about with that, has so much greater character depth and plot depth than your typical Hollywood movie. Yeah. Well, some of them, right. But,
that's a joke that only a few people are going to get. But go ahead.
The hentai, maybe, but right. But no, I mean, it really is so much more psychologically and artistically rich, and you just see this, and even other channels like Crunchyroll or Netflix that they just are killing it with putting out stuff related to anime, because people are just tired of it. They're like, there's nothing new under the sun when it comes to DC Marvel, and they're hitting hard limits because these big companies won't push the envelope on what characters can say and do. And once you hit that limit, there's only so many ways you can rewrite the same story. It doesn't matter what you do with the color of the skin. It doesn't matter what you do with, whether they're gay or not. It doesn't matter. If it's boring, it's boring. If it's the same old thing you've seen a million times, who cares? So I think it's great. Like, as much as it's irritating for the, other people in the mainstream, I mean, I just like, this is wonderful. Finally, they're giving the impetus for people to actually go say, I'm done. I'm going to go look for something else. And I've been a beneficiary of that, and many other people have too, not just me, even in the Liberty sphere.
So Jack, what's next for you? What's next with the comic book series? What's next product wise, and where can we buy products? And what's next for you in general?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. I have a couple things in the hopper with the comics right now. It's in production for Origins 3. So we finished our funding just over a month ago. Things overall have gone smooth otherwise, and now it's being worked on with the production team. So that's going to take several months of production to do, because there's a team of artists that have to go through, and I have to do backs and forths and stuff like that, quality control. So that will be keep me a little busy. And then, with the other things that I do in terms of like projects and stuff, some of the things I've been really focused on would definitely be self-directed education. I've been focused on promoting those things with a couple pages like The Honest Teacher and stuff like that, just because I think that's really important and powerful for both parents and young people. It gives them a chance to actually direct their lives meaningfully away from the state controls. And so for me, it's just been really important to tell people about that and just let them know there's an alternative to just, either you go to, public school or private school that looks exactly the same, or homeschool, but stick to a curriculum. There's a whole new way of thinking about how to do education. And then outside of that, one other thing I would like to do, and I would like to produce another music video, because I enjoyed doing ANCAP Grind. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, that will probably come out a little bit later. And then, I've been working on other projects like this will be in just a little bit, some voluntaryist classes, been working on some prototypes for those and stuff, they're pretty cool, stuff like that. But yeah, I got a couple little projects.
Let's see the second pair.
Which one? Oh, these?
Yeah.
Yeah, these ones are a little bit more gold, a little bit more beady. So these are earlier prototype. They're cool, but I personally favor these just because they have a little bit more viewing space and they kind of like fit the traditional V shape. So I'm basically at the last stage of production of this in terms of the prototyping process. It's about ready for Chinese pitch for production stuff, but soon enough.
And where can people get comic book stickers, bumper stickers, T-shirts?
Tons of places, but main website, volcomic.com. So that's www.vol, so VOLCOMIC. So volcomic.com. That's the website for the comic page, and on the right-hand side are all the comics. And there's a place you can click for the stores, because I have a Rage On store for shirts. It's for Voluntaryist. I have a Zazzle. I have a couple of things. But basically, volcomic.com is the place where you can kind of get it all at one spot and just see what's there. And then of course the Facebook page, facebook.com/volcomics. So same thing. You can just Google or search it up, because I usually come up pretty top there. But yeah, I mean it's tons of different things: shirts, stickers, whatever, interesting things, comics.
Yeah,
You guys, these items make amazing Christmas presents, specifically if you're shopping for me. So remember.
All right, so we're going to call it here. We are about to go into the post show. So the way that works is we have a group for subscribers only that we're going to stream our post show in there. There are a couple ways that you can get in on this. So scrolling the last 2 or 3 minutes has been the link to our Anchor. If you go on Anchor for as little as 99 cents a month, you can support the podcast, and then just send us a request to join or a message on our main D&D Liberty page if you can't find the group, and we will add you. And then I'll be checking every month to make sure no one's hanging around when they shouldn't be. But also, here in the next couple of weeks, the launchpadmedia.com will be rolling out a subscriber platform that you can subscribe on there. They're talking about $5 a month. I'm not sure exactly how it's going to be. So that'll be one way that you can watch it. All of our stuff, all of our subscriber-only stuff will be going behind their paywall, unless you subscribe to us, and then you can see the live feed version. So thank you, Jack, for coming on and letting me indulge my nerdy side, because we've been having a lot of super serious guests lately. So this one's been a lot more fun.
Yeah. Yes.
It's been a blast.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So fair warning, when I hit stop on this, it will kick you out, and you can click that same link I sent you a minute ago to get back in. You'll have to reset your camera though.
Okay.
So thank you everyone for joining us. Check out volcomic.com. Did I get that right?
Yep. Volcomic.com.
Yep. We threw the link in the chat, so go check them out. And we'll see you. I don't know. We're probably going to do a second show this weekend. We'll see you then. Bye everyone.